Hi, Robin.
Morning.
Morning.
Father was from Northern Ireland, and mother was from central England, but from a northern family, North English family. Oh, because during the war we lived by the sea, and we'd go down to the beach, so I was aware of it. We're near Liverpool too, which is a big port, being bombed quite a lot, because it was a big port, main artery to America, so there was a lot of shipping there. But someone was aware of it, was aware of ships.
And what made you tick? Because not everybody goes to sea.
I don't know, at the age of 8 I decided I wanted to go to sea. I mean, I was going to be a seaman, that was it.
Okay.
So my whole life has been dictated by an 8-year-old.
So where did you start? What did you do? Did you go working, or did you start businesses?
I joined the Merchant Navy.
So how was your night?
Well, I went to John-Luc's return party, which was enormous fun. Lovely atmosphere, really great. And John-Luc was on very fine form, singing, backed by his band, so it was a good party.
So what do you thought when you saw John-Luc coming off his boat?
Well, he looked in very good condition. I mean, he looked fit. I'd be interested to know how far he can walk, because we don't use our legs at sea. We use our upper body, but we don't use our legs. And when I got back, I couldn't walk more than 200 yards. I'd have to rest my legs, particularly my ankles. So I'd be interested when I see him, talking to him about that, you know, what effect it's had on him. But he looked in very good form. And obviously, I mean, it's a big moment for him. He's won his first race. He's always, done well in races, but never actually won one. So he's won this one, and so he's got every reason to be very, very satisfied.
What do you think is the biggest accomplishment for him, from your point of view?
Well, I think the biggest accomplishment is the fact that he's taken a fairly small boat. I mean, these are just cruising boats, really, and he's managed to get round the world 100 days faster than I did. There's a number of reasons for that, but I still think that's a pretty good accomplishment. And I mean, I think he's shown that we've had a lot of development in the last 50 years. Not least the fact they know it can be done, which I didn't. But actually there are a lot of developments in boats which have made it possible to sail faster. Not least weather information, which just didn't exist. We had no satellites in those days. So there's a lot of things that have helped people. Weather information really does speed you up a lot. But nevertheless, I mean, to come in that well, especially having damaged his boat, had to work out how to repair it, I think is a major achievement.
When you left a little bit more than 50 years ago, what was your biggest fear, or didn't you have any fears, you just went?
Well, I had a peculiar fear because I had jaundice. And
so what's that?
It's a disease of the liver.
Okay.
And I was worried that it might get worse. I'd had it before in Africa, and it meant you can't do much exercise. My concern was it would get worse, but actually it got better, so that was fine. And I was concerned about that.
You've done many races after that, and some bigger, some smaller, and you kept sailing all the time. There's always that special moment that you go out to meet somebody when he's coming back from the sea. How is that for you, to see him crossing the line?
Well, I don't know what his reaction is. Mine is very simply, right, how do I berth this boat? Okay. Let's get this boat safely tied up. What's going to happen now? Tell me, please, because I need to know. I'm worried about my boat. And, it's fine, you get people coming on board, great. Now let's get this boat under control, because we're in a port where everything's constricting us. And perhaps a lot of boats around you as well. You're just saying, look, just give me a bit of space, let me get my boat safe. Once the boat's safe, then I'll think about other things, but that's my primary work.
Yeah.
I was a captain when I was 27. 29, I decided to go around the world. I built my boat in India, sailed her home. It took me a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Got home, heard about Chichester, thought that needs one thing to be done, go around the world without stopping.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that you even got in contact with the Sunday Times.
No.
And that,
Now, they were approached by my agent because they'd supported Chichester. They came down and talked to me, and they had a man called Murray Sale who said to me, "Are you going to beat Chichester?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." Well, papers don't want that. I didn't know that. I knew nothing about media. I mean, I'm a seaman. And they want me to say, "Yeah, I'll beat that silly old bloke." But that's not the way I work. And so he wrote me down and he said, "Don't worry about Knox Johnston, he's not determined enough." So the Sunday Times basically wrote me off then, and that made it very hard for me to get further my efforts to get sponsorship because they were being quite dismissive about me. They were obsessed with Mutessier. You know, this was the man who was going to. They never looked at how much sailing I'd done. Didn't realise I was at least as experienced as Mutessier, and in some respects more so. Now, my job is a navigator, and they just didn't get it. One of the few journalists who got that was the editor of Yachting World, who was also Merchant Navy, and knew how well we were trained. And he just said, "Watch Knox Johnston. This could be the dark horse." I was. Yeah, you know, I knew my boat, I'd helped build the boat, I'd sailed it 20,000 miles by then. I'd been at sea for nearly 14 years. You know, my life was at sea. And the newspapers just didn't get that. They didn't understand it at all. So, I mean, they once said in an article they published, Sunday Times, said, "If I was where I said I was." Now, what are you saying? I'm lying or I can't navigate? Both are wrong. And my father rang them up and said, "You know, you can't say that about a master mariner." So they didn't write about me at all for a while. And I disappeared, and because my radio packed up, so far as they're concerned, I was disappeared. And they sort of said, "Well, that's it, he's gone. You know, he's dead." Then I appeared off Australia. "Oh, he's come back." Then I disappeared for 4.5 months, and they basically decided I was dead. They wrote a sort of obituary. It wasn't good. I could have written a far better one. And then I reappeared, and of course that wasn't what they wanted. I was the one person they'd really been pretty rude about.
why was that?
Well, because they decided right at the beginning that I didn't stand a chance. Therefore, they were attacking me at the start. So I wasn't the one they wanted to finish.
Yeah.
They were one of the other people. Ideally, Mutessier, but he pulled out.
Yeah.
And suddenly I appeared. I mean, when I got back, I walked ashore, and the Sunday Times, no one important, middle management, no senior person. And his first comment to me wasn't "well done." It was, "Oh, Miss Knox Johnston, Commander Tetley will be arriving in 6 weeks. We've got royalty and admirals coming. You will be there, won't you?" I thought, where are they for me then? It's, no. Our relationship with the Sunday Times was not good, but I got even my own way, which was they were frightened of giving me the trophy publicly in case I said something derogatory. So they gave it to me as a private lunch, and I said all the things they loved to have had said publicly. I mean, I was pretty angry, and I was just told, "Forget it. Don't bother with them." And I took the advice, which is good. But in fact, I didn't have to worry because Private Eye, which is a satirical magazine, someone in the Sunday Times wrote it up and got paid £25. It was all in there. And I was accused of writing it. I didn't write it because there was stuff there I didn't know about. But someone from the Sunday Times wrote it up because quite scathing about his own newspaper. I thought, well, that's all right. I'm even now.
So what about the prize money? Who was putting it up?
The paper.
Sunday Times. But you didn't keep it.
No.
You decided to do other way, of course.
Yeah, we didn't deal with that. I didn't expect to win it anyway, so
Yeah.
I thought Tetley would win it.
So
everyone says Mutessier would have been the fastest. I'm not sure. I think Tetley could have been. But in France, you can't have that. In France, Mutessier was in front of me when he pulled out. But in France, you see, the months go February, January, March, April, May, June. He was 19 days behind me at Cape Horn. He was never going to catch me. And he knew it, he told me so.
Okay.
We used to swap letters. Tessier. Technically could have won the prize, but not in France. What is it? He would have won. And that's better than winning.
I don't know. You won. You got the prize from your favorite newspaper.
Yeah.
But you didn't keep it. So how did you deal with that?
Well, I got the trophy.
You got the trophy?
Yeah, I got the trophy. That's like my old school. They've got a sports centre they named after me, which is rather nice. But yeah, you know, I was busy writing a book, doing the shows, and not particularly UK, in the States I did a lot of shows. You know, by that time I got, the contracts were coming in for newspapers, not the...
Okay.
And magazines and books. So, in the States, book and a magazine, and UK, newspaper and book. And then the book was published in France and Holland, and I think it's in 12 languages now.
Okay.
So it is 12, yeah.
So you made yourself a living out of that?
Well, for a while, yes. I mean, it was. I made a lot more money than I'd have earned if I'd been at sea. But I mean, with today's level of money, it was nothing. I mean, it was not very much at all. But then, you know, sponsorship was actually frowned upon in those days. It wasn't approved at all. So, not that I knew anything about it. I'd never sailed in England. All my sailing had been done in the Indian Ocean, India and Africa. So I knew very little about the English social scene in yachting. In fact, it was quite a surprise to me when I did get to know it. That was totally different to what I was used to.
So, what did you do with your life 1 year after you came back?
Well, we built another boat. And did some racing, Van der Start 71. But I also went into a syndicate with some people, and we bought a boatyard and built a marina on the Hamble. We did that for a while, and then Ranks came in, took us over. So I worked for Ranks for about the usual 4 years before you go with Ranks. And I developed St Catherine's Dock in London. I went to Scotland and built True Marina. And all the time I was racing when competing with Whitbread, round Britain races, this sort of thing. So I'd mix doing a job, a proper job, with my racing. Which it was a good life. You know, I got what I wanted. I had the excitement of developing a new project and making it work from a business point of view, which I find interesting. And the excitement of getting a boat project together and going racing. So, you know, it was good.
You still inspire people every day. What do you think about that?
Well, I think people, I don't think I personally inspire them. I think they get inspired by watching other people's achievements that appeal to them. So if they're interested in sailing, they'll look at all the sailors around there. They say, gosh, that's great, or that's great, that's interesting. And it's already inside them, actually. You're not inspiring them so much, they're inspiring themselves. So they sort of look at it. Now, you then have to say, well, what does inspire you? Is it the multi-million-pound projects, like the Vendée, for instance, where you can't build one of the boats for that for under about 5 or 6 million euros. So you have to be sponsored. It then comes down really to a competition between money. Who's got the most money for their project? Because they can have the best foils or whatever. Or is it something like the GGR, where it isn't money at all? Because these boats are not expensive. You can buy a second-hand Rustler, £50,000, 6,000 euros, you know, and then get it ready to go and do this race. So this race, what I like about the GGR, is that it actually is open to just about anyone who dreams. Now I think that inspires people. The project that's there that is possible. Now there's good and bad about that. Some people will rise to that and say, that's what I'm going to go and do. Others who love to say, I'm going to go and do it, suddenly realize, oops, I actually don't want to do it. This is too dangerous, or I don't think I'm fit for it. The world is full of people who say they're going to do something. I used to be a chap in America every time I went to Rhode Island. He said, hey Robin, I'm going to sail single-handed non-stop around the world. What do you think of that? Huh? Huh? And he did this for 4 years until I got fed up. I said, just do it, will you? And then tell me about it. And I thought I shouldn't have said that. But the whole bar applauded. They'd had enough of it. But the world's full of these people. They want attention because they've got the idea. Hey, I'm going to do this. Go and do it. You don't have to shout about it. You've just satisfied yourself. And if you want to spy yourself, don't do something easy. Where's the satisfaction? You do the tough things in life. Then you can be satisfied you've done something. But you don't have to go and boast about it. Inside yourself you've done it. That's inspiring. It inspires yourself.
So.
And keep away from bureaucrats.
Okay. How do you keep away from bureaucrats?
God, I wish I knew.
I always feel a form of universal appeal, interest in the sea. If I walk here in the Sable d'Olonne, my French is not very good. But when I'm talking to the French about seamen coming in here, or leaving even, you immediately have a kind of feeling of connection. What do you think that is?
I think there is a connection. I think you're talking to people who've got an interest in the sea. I mean, Le Sable was nothing. It was just a little fishing village until it developed the Vendée. Then it became internationally known. And now it's a town that thinks about itself as a centre for round-the-world sailing. And indeed it is. And that's been the people of this town having the forethought to say, this is a great idea, we'll go with it. So everyone knows about Le Sable now, great for its economy, well done Le Sable. But it also means the people here feel they've got this identity with the sea because they're involved in these races, even if they're just watching. I mean, you saw yesterday when John-Luc came in, huge crowds, and it was a Tuesday. I mean, there wasn't much work going on in factories yesterday. All the population were down to greet their local hero, quite rightly. And this is this town. That's the way people feel here. So they feel very much a part of it. And I find that atmosphere very pleasant. I think you probably do as well. You're dealing with people who do understand about this sailing. They know a bit about it. They don't ask you silly questions. If they want to chat to you, it's out of interest. And so altogether there's a nice ambience in the south, especially for this sort of sailing. Well, England had its chance. They weren't prepared to support the event. They wanted a lot of money to host it. And there wasn't a lot of money there. So Le Sable, who's got experience of these things and understands destination marketing, which is what this is, said, hey, we'll take on that race. It's not very expensive, but it'll be very good to fit in between the Vendées. And what's happened, it's been, I think, a great success. It's brought another round-the-world sailing activity to Le Sable, made it even more the headquarters of round-the-world sailing. England could have had it. They just didn't get how you bring an event like this to your town, and all the restaurants are full, the hotels are full, the taxis are busy, the local economy benefits. And some places get it and some don't. And it's quite hard in Britain, actually. You don't have the same governing system of towns anyway, as they have here. Here a mayor is elected, but actually is the chief executive. That's not true in Britain. The mayor is just, whose turn is it to be mayor? He's a councillor or alderman, but he's not the leader of the council. Whereas here they are. In Britain it would be the leader of the biggest party and the chief executive, who's a civil servant, who will actually run the town. The mayor is just there for decoration. So that's changing slightly. Liverpool's got proper mayors now, so is Manchester. And it's very interesting the way those cities are changing, becoming much more aggressive, because they've actually got elected mayors who are taking charge. So I think we'll see more of that. But this is the system in France, and it works.
Yeah. So when Don came to you with the idea of the 50-year anniversary of your trip, what was your first thought?
Oh, it was a great idea. I was very flattered. He wanted to celebrate my 50 years. But I thought it was a great idea.
And after the flattering?
Well, he wanted me to be chairman of it, and I said, I can't do that. And I don't think I should. It would cause confusion with Clipper. Anyway, but also, I mean, I'm quite busy, and I thought, no, I think, I said to Don, I'll support you strongly. I think it's a great idea. But actually, I don't want to be involved in the organisation. But I will support you. And I've done my best to support him, because I think it is a great idea. He's persevered, he's made it happen. Any credit that's due for getting this race together and running goes to Don.
This is one of the first races that came fully to life in social media. What do you think about that?
That's the way we do it now. That's the modern way. If you look, I don't know what it's like in Holland, but in Britain, magazine sales are right down. That's no longer the way you get messages across. It's on the internet now. It's on Facebook. These sort of things. It's all changing. And you know, today we were sitting there just looking up the various yacht magazine sites. There it is. It's all on Facebook. It's all on those sites. And that has replaced the actual printed magazine. Now the interesting thing is how the media adapt themselves to it. Some, like the Daily Mail in Britain, are extremely successful, but others are struggling. It's not a business I particularly understand, but I can see that people don't buy much these days. Sales of magazines have dropped dramatically. You wonder how much longer they can go on, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was great because especially the way Don took it on to get the information out there, even if it's not perfect, but at least it's honest, and sometimes we're brutally honest.
Do you know, but that's, I think, where he got it spot on. He and Barry got that spot on. Because by being honest, you can't be wrong if you're honest. You can be criticised because something's gone wrong, but if you're honest with the facts, you can't be wrong. It's very hard to actually get at you. You can say, well, you shouldn't have done that. Well, what do you know about it? You've never left your bed, just sat there pressing send on some ill-conceived thought. And there's far too many people like that around nowadays. I only had 2 today, so it's not too bad, I suppose. But I think if you're honest with these things, it makes, you take all the steam out. It won't stop the odd idiot coming up, getting the facts wrong, and blasting off some criticism of you. You're going to get that whatever happens. You just have to rely on sensible people saying, stop being an idiot. I had a boat go ashore in the Sunda Strait, and we lost the boat. We saved all the people, no one was hurt. But an Australian editor criticised me for ruining a beautiful, pristine beach with waving palms and upsetting the local fishing people. It was a rock. The only other thing on it was a wrecked fishing boat. But, you know, and that's one time I did respond. I said, look, get your facts right. Bang. And actually he had the grace to apologise. But he'd already caused the damage, you know, criticising me for dumping a boat on this beautiful beach. You know, you see it in all the brochures. It wasn't like that at all. But in his imagination, why write it? You don't know, so why write it? You've got to write something. I'll criticise. I got one through today, exactly the same thing. Someone saying, you know, well, I wouldn't expect anything better from you. Delete. I can't be bothered. I'm not going to bother replying. To a person like that, well, I don't know the facts. Well, get lost. I've got better things to do in my life.
So we had a bit...
Don's had to put up with that. And so did Barry. And, you know, I think they've handled it well. I think they've got the balance right. But you'll always get people coming in and criticising the number of boats that have been abandoned in the Southern Ocean. Well, it mustn't do that. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So we've got 1, 2, is it 3 or 4 yachts? No, 4. How does that compare with 80,000 containers that are lost every year? Should we just get this into proportion? 4 yachts, and what have these containers got in them? As we deal with that, because hanging on to containers on the ship is all the question of stowing them properly. They're not being stowed properly. Well, why don't you criticise them instead of picking on people who are lucky they've got their lives saved? They don't have to be there. No, they don't. Well, if you can say, well, they shouldn't do it, well, stop people climbing Mount Everest. Far more people die there anyway. More people die in Britain drowning in horse riding accidents than sailing accidents. And if the government ever work that one out, they'll make every horse rider wear a life jacket. But they haven't noticed that more people drown in riding accidents each year in Britain than in sailing accidents. So they're onto sailing all the time, criticising. Even have a department of government to investigate accidents. Where's the department to investigate horse riding accidents or mountaineering accidents? Well, there aren't any. So that's of no interest, doesn't matter. But we'll criticise these yachting people. Usually by people who are not yachtsmen, so they don't know what they're talking about. Have you ever heard of an American poet called Shel Silverstein?
No.
Look him up. He's written a poem called The Mustn'ts. And it goes, listen to the mustn'ts, child, listen to the don'ts, listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts, listen to the don't have, and listen close to me. Anything is possible, everything can be. And I put that in every bureaucrat's office, every health and safety office in the country. I don't think they'd understand it, because they're risk averse, but they'd have it up there so they might just occasionally think, oh, maybe I shouldn't say I can't. We're just getting started on bureaucracy.
So we'll divert here. So we had a bit of a fuss about Mark Slats coming or don't coming in, or maybe coming later, or diverting or not diverting. But he is coming right at Les Sables d'Olonne in tremendous speed.
Yes.
He's exceeding expectations. What do you think of him?
Oh yeah, well, I think it's great. I mean, he's done very well. You know, he's up against a very experienced circumnavigator in John-Luc. Had John-Luc's mast not got damaged, the gap would have been bigger. Forget that for a minute. Look at Mark Satz. He's done a very good time. He's done very well. I mean, I think he's going second in an event like this, or anyone who finishes is a winner. So coming second is damn incredible, frankly. So I think Mark Satz has done extremely well.
So 2022, everybody is pouring in, asking information. There will be 2 classes. What does it do to you? Because you have a certain status, a certain coming and going. You're not young. You are young and not young at the same time. What do you think of it?
I think if this race can get the support it deserves, there's certainly a place in the diary of ocean events for this event. And I think we've shown that with this one. We've also shown that there's an awful lot of interest, and not necessarily in the yachting pages. This is a more features subject, really. If you can get the support it needs, and I think deserves, then I think it'd be great to see it take place again in 4 years' time. It'd be nice if there's more money to spend on the event, because it was a shoestring this time. Nevertheless, it was run well. I mean, the important things were dealt with. That's what matters, particularly safety. So, I think it's one of these events that should be there, and I hope it will be there. And let's hope there are more entries next time. Let's hope that they look and study this race and realise one of the keys to John-Luc's success was he got his boat 3 years before the race and went sailing. So by the time the race started, he knew his boat inside out, and it showed, didn't it? I mean, had a lead of 2,000 miles at one stage. Now, some of that's down to experience, some of that's down to damn good preparation and planning. When you put the two together. So I think from Mark's perspective, coming in second to someone like Jean-Luc is extremely creditable.
Of copper wire, lay steps like this back into the area, like
Right.
this, around it. It's all in the ring.
So we'll see. Will you be around to see Mark, or
No,
do you have to head off?
I've got to go off. I've got to go out tomorrow. Which is a pity. I'll leave a message for him, obviously. And I hope to see him at some stage.
Oh, you will.
I'm sure I will. Because I think he's done damn well. And I'm sure they're going to make a big fuss of him in Holland, and so they should. Frankly. Because he has achieved. He's done it. Or when he gets here, he would have done it. So he deserves recognition. And I hope he gets it. But I think he will.
I hope he gets it too. And his private idea, dream, is to do the Vendée Globe.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Well, he does well in this. He's more likely to get a sponsor for the Vendée, isn't he? Good luck to him.
Okay. May I thank you very much for this interview. And that's the end.
Alles van die beste.
Merci.
Listen to the musts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the don't have. And listen close to me. Anything is possible. Everything can be.